Good morning, everyone. Sheriff Kevin Schneider is a veteran of the Polk County Sheriff's Office, serving the citizens of Polk County since 1981, when he was just a wee lad. He has extensive knowledge and experience within every division of the Sheriff's Office. He is also a graduate of the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy with several specialized classes in the field of law enforcement, including the 5-Star Leadership Program. He has a degree in criminal justice, is a graduate of the Northwestern University School of Police Staff and Command, and a graduate of the Iowa Certified Dietary Manager Program from the state of Iowa and Drake University. Sheriff Schneider is also a member of and volunteers for several community organizations. That's some of his official bio. What many of you don't know is that I work for Sheriff Schneider at the jail. So I have some insight that isn't in his official bio, and he's getting a little nervous now. But one of the things, because I've been there for 16 and a half years now, and he's been one of my bosses at some point, and especially now. But he is a great advocate for his staff. He's always been a great advocate for his staff. He's also an advocate for other people. He gets involved in lots of these community organizations. And I'll give you one example is he started a event with refugee children, a golf event. And not all sheriffs in the country feel that way about refugee children, but he's one of those people that does that. Another fun fact is that another community organization that he's involved in is the Shriners. And I didn't know this until recently, but if you go to the circus, he's one of the clowns. So it's unusual. It's unusual for people. And I'm lucky to say that my boss is a clown, and it actually is a good thing. So please join me in welcoming my boss, Sheriff Kevin Schneider.
Well, thanks, everybody. I'm honored to be here. It is an honor. And yes, when someone says your sheriff's a clown, I take that as a compliment. But I've been doing that since 1982. And all those children have a special place in my heart. And if there's something I can do to make them smile or make their day a little better or help them get the treatment they need across the country, I'm all about it. So I told Ken if he did a really good job on my intro, I wouldn't even have to get out of my chair. So I guess you didn't do very good, Ken. But just to give you an idea, I kind of say the sheriff's office is like the best kept secret in Polk County. A lot of people, unless you live out in the county, you don't know what we do. We all are a full service law enforcement agency. That means we do patrol. We have detectives. We have narcotics teams. We have dive team. We have specialty teams, the metro area, what you folks would refer to as SWAT. This metro area STAR team is comprised of the Des Moines Police Department and the Polk County Sheriff's Office and a couple of the other smaller suburbs who couldn't man it on their own. So we do have a good working relationship with all the agencies in and around Polk County, including Norwalk and some of the other sheriff's offices close by. So I always say to Ken and a lot of other people, I said, with about 600 employees and 1,100 inmates, what could go wrong? So, and there's our big kicker is we house an average of 1,000 inmates a day here at Polk County. We are the largest holding facility in the state of Iowa. We are bigger than the prisons. And the nice thing is you guys don't hear about it. So that must mean we're doing something right and keeping the lid on it pretty well. But it's something that Ken is I call him the head chef, and he makes about 3,000 meals a day. So they're busy out there putting out food. He has dietary requirements that we have to adhere to, and we do that. And he does a great job. He's never got me in any trouble with the inspectors. We do very wonderful and very proud of that on the jail side. So we have also, with those duties, we dispatch for 30 different agencies. And those are the 911 calls that you may make. 911, depending on where you're at, it's either going to Des Moines PD, West Des Moines, or us. And then we'll dispatch it appropriately. So if it comes in and you're in Des Moines and for some reason it gets routed to us, we can push a button and Des Moines gets it and takes care of it. We have folks out there that doing an amazing job. That was one job I would even try to cook, but I would not try to dispatch. It's a crazy job, tough job. So we have folks out there that do an amazing job, but we do, you think 30 different agencies. We kind of forget about Ankeny. We forget about Altoona. We forget about the fire departments, whether they be full-time, volunteer, Bondurant, whatever they are, we dispatch for them. We make sure they get where they need to go and take those calls and get them routed there. And we have some of you, if ever need to get out on Northeast 14th, and for us older folks, that was called the old Polk County home. And that property has been changed a lot. We have a nice new $21 million facility for the sheriff's office on their patrol headquarters. So thanks to our board of supervisors for working with us on that and giving us something that we were in desperate need of. And now we're the envy of all the other agencies around. So it's kind of nice to be have people looking up to you for a change that we've never seen that before. Because we were in a little building that was just going to be temporary, and it was temporary for about 20 years, I think, or 25. So, but like Ken said, I've been here since 1981. So I've had every good job and had every bad job. The only job they wouldn't let me have was the public information officer, because they said I had a face for radio. So I didn't get to do any of that stuff, which is probably good. But we have, and that just covers a couple of our divisions. I'm kind of bouncing around, but any of you that do legal work or are lawyers, we also run the civil division. We serve civil process, and we serve a lot of it. And it's, we serve garnishments, we serve orders from the court, divorce papers, and we keep a crew of about 8 to 10 deputies working full-time doing that. That's all they do is serve process. Of course, if something were to happen, a crime or something that they were close by, they would respond to that as well. But they run around in plain clothes. You probably wouldn't know them, except for some of the times they'll have their sheriff's vest on or their badge and their gun hanging from their side. So they're out and about all over and moving throughout the business community. So sometimes it looks a little less invasive if you show up in a suit and tie than if you show up in a uniform and try to give somebody the divorce paper. So something like that. But no one ever likes to see us come knocking on their door. So we have those folks that do that. We have the staff that's down at the court. And it used to be, for those of you that have been around town, the old J.C. Penney building is what I refer to it as, but it is the criminal courts building, and we're office out of there. And then we have the historical courthouse, and then we have the criminal courthouse across the street, which used to be the jail. So about 50 officers assigned down there. And they go, what do 50 officers do? Well, our inmates are out north on Delaware, just north of the interstate. So they've got to get back and forth to court. So we have transport officers. We have officers that sit in court and get them where they need to go, transport them, and get them into the courtroom, get them prepared for trial or ready for trial. We can't let them sit there in handcuffs and leg irons, and because it taints the jury. So those officers have to be mindful of what's going on around them and what they're doing, and they do that and do an amazing job. And the courthouse has been a place for some excitement. We've in my career, we've had 2 shootings at the courthouse where the officers had to end a threat and take a person's life. Nothing that we look forward to doing ever, but that happened on the courthouse campus. So everybody that thinks it's boring down there until it's not. And that's what they do. And they love doing that job. And right now it's a different generation, and I can't get them to bid in for patrol because they work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Or you can go on patrol and work nights, weekends, and holidays and wait for the wind and the snow to come. And so that's one of the things that we're working on, and getting those folks enthused about coming back out and pushing one of those patrol cars around. We have 592 square miles in Polk County. I didn't know that. We patrol it. We're responsible for patrolling all of it. Obviously, we have Des Moines that takes up some of it. We have Johnston, we have the suburbs that take up some of it, but we also patrol a lot of it that's unincorporated still. We are also the primary law enforcement agency for Bondurant, for Grimes, Alleman, Elkhart, Runnels. Those are all folks that we handle law enforcement for. And now recently, I would say recently, last year, July 1, we took over animal control contracts. So we do Urbandale Animal Control, Clive, Windsor Heights, Altoona. So plus the other law enforcement cities, Mitchellville, we do Altoona's animal control. So we stay busy. And that's also part of the sheriff's office. So if you see a truck running around and it says sheriff on it, and it's like a truck with a cage in the back, that's one of our animal control officers going out to hopefully rescue an animal and find its way home, which unfortunately one of those was mine when I was in Washington, D.C. about a week and a half ago. We inherited my mother-in-law's dog after she passed, and my sister-in-law is supposed to be taking care of it at grandma's house, and somehow it escaped without its collar. And we get a call from her that he's in dog jail. So I'm on my way to Washington, D.C. My wife is on her way to San Antonio. And my son said, he came home from Iowa State and said, wow, that's the first time I got to use my credit card and I had to bond my dog out of jail. I said, good job, son. That's what you should spend your money on. Don't waste it. You never know when you're going to need it for yourself. But just to give you, I touched a little bit on the communications part, and those folks are located out on Northeast 14th, just in a different building, but right across from where we are. Their building is pretty much underground. Obviously, it was good planning when they did it, and that was for safety reasons. Not that we ever have any high winds, tornadoes, or bad weather here, but those folks are crucial to getting everybody else help. So we want them to stay safe, keep them there. And just to give you an idea what we do out there, 69,170 calls. That's what we took in last year. Those are 911 calls. 123,304 administrative calls. So a total of about 204,000, almost 500 calls. Those folks are busy. We run 24/7, 365. So anytime citizens like yourself need to call 911, you expect someone to be there. And we answer 90% of those 911 calls within a matter of seconds. And there are some national standards, and we are one of the very few here in the metro area that adhere to those national standards and make it work. And I'm always on the supervisors and telling them I need more dispatchers, I need more of this, I need more of that. And that's the reason. Population in Polk County that we serve is up 36% from 2010. Our 911 call volume's up 45%, which seems like a huge increase to me. And because I thought they were busy already. And then time spent on the call is up 40%. So it's not that our dispatchers are becoming slower. It's the fact that we're using new and different techniques when it comes to maybe de-escalating. A lot of mental health de-escalation goes on that call before the officer ever arrives on the call or gets sent to the call. So our dispatchers are all trained in medical CPR. They can walk you through medical problems, talk there. But while the ambulance is coming, they're working you through CPR. We're doing a lot of CPR instruction over the phone, and we've had some pretty good success rates. So that's a nice thing about up there as far as what they do. And they sometimes never catch a break. So like the crazy snowstorm we had not too long ago where we got 7 inches or whatever it was, and boom, had 165 calls in just a matter of hours. And these folks are just, getting ambulances, getting tow trucks, getting the officers out there, trying to keep everybody safe. So they do a great job. I'm very proud of our dispatchers. So I'm also a member of the National Sheriff's Association. And I thought this will be great. I'll learn something. What I learned is every sheriff in every part of the country has the same problems. There might be a bigger problem or a smaller problem, but we all have the same problems. Retaining help, getting folks that want to do this job, because everybody loves the cops. They're always glad to see us, right? The old saying was, you never a cop there when you need one, always one there when you don't want one. So, but we're getting some good tips, good things that we can do better, best practices. It's nice to have those resources and see that some of these big sheriffs have the same problems that we have, just on a bigger scale. And I got to know Sheriff Grady Judd, who's the Polk County Sheriff in Polk County, Florida. He's part of the major county sheriffs, which I'm also a member. And I told him, I said, I'm really getting tired of fielding your calls. He said, what do you mean? I said, every time and if you've never done it, go to YouTube and watch Sheriff Grady Judd. That man will say anything, can say anything, and the people love him most of the time. But when they make him mad, then they call Polk County, Iowa. Anyhow, I've fielded a few calls from him that they said, I didn't really like what you said on TV. I wasn't on TV. Said, who you calling? Oh, so now when I go to major county sheriffs, I introduce myself as Kevin Schneider, Polk County Sheriff, the polite Polk County. So it's become a joke between us, and it kind of gets him riled up, which is kind of fun. But anyway, that's just some of the things that we do. We have 4 officers, 3 deputies and a sergeant that are assigned to nothing but mental health. And what they do is if you see a sheriff's car running around in the city, most likely it's one of the mental health cars. If you see 3 of them going together in the city, most likely they're going on a mental health warrant to pick someone up and get them to the hospital. Those folks don't go to jail. We take them to mainly Broadlawns, Lutheran, whatever is available, and whatever the judge has ordered that they go for treatment. So I have 4 of those guys doing that full time every day, 8 hours a day. That give you an idea of the mental health crisis that we're in here in this community and every community. So the problem is we're great at doing quick stuff as far as emergency response, getting somebody out of a critical situation, getting them to the hospital, getting them some help, getting them back on their medication. But we offer them no long-term solutions. That's been one of my arguments for quite a while. I'm trying to get that accomplished. The governor and I don't see eye to eye on that. We've talked about it. I said, I appreciate what you're doing for us, but I need a place for these folks to get long-term care. And it's just not me. It's every other sheriff in the state. But us, unfortunately, we have the highest numbers and have the biggest problem. So we continue to work on that. And we're hopeful that maybe some point in time, we'll be able to open some of these facilities back up, get some folks in, and that will help. We're seeing an increase in juvenile mental health issues as well. You know, a lot of kids and you folks can experience it, but a lot of pressure. We put a lot of pressure on our kids. When I grew up, which I grew up right over here on Merle Hay Road, and we played Little League. Maybe we played some basketball, played soccer. We weren't traveling every weekend. We weren't competing. We weren't going all across the country. We weren't expected to perform. So as parents, we put a lot of pressure on our kids, or they take it on themselves because they want to fit in. And I personally think that's part of the problem that we have in our community is we put too much pressure on these kids and let them enjoy being kids. We used to go out and play with tires and sticks and everything else. We didn't have to have I about died when my buddy said, yeah, I spent $450 on a baseball bat for my son. What? Good Lord. My first car didn't cost that much. But anyway, it's just so we continue to work with the mental health and Ken's part of that. He doesn't even know it. He probably knows it, but with our inmates at the jail, a large percentage of those folks have mental health problems. They shouldn't probably be in jail if we had a place to put them. But what happens with a lot of mental health folks is they take their medicine, they feel better. Oh, I don't need to take my medicine anymore. I'm all cured. And it's not like cold medicine. They need to stay on that and stay regimented. So we do see a lot of the same folks over and over. And the same at the jail. And we see the same folks over and over. So we kind of have frequent flyers out there, and we try to help as much as we can. But we do get some folks that are sentenced to jail out there that are going to do 30 days, 60 days, whatever the judge decides. We offer them an opportunity, depending on their level of crime. We quit putting murderers in the kitchen. Ken got mad at me for that. So we never did, but we offer them a lot of different programs. But one of the programs we have is they can become an inmate worker, and they can work around inside the facility. And we teach them safe food handling. They get their safe food handling certificate through Des Moines Area Community College. So that entitles them or helps them when they get out of jail to have that certificate. It didn't cost them any money, and they can maybe hopefully get their job or get a better job and move up in their life and hopefully quit coming back to jail. And it's not that it's not that we dislike them, but we got plenty of customers. We don't need any more. And we're not out recruiting those. So, but just anything we can do to help those folks, that's what we do. We have a bunch of programs that nobody really knows what we do, but we have what the high school equivalency test to meet. Back then it was the GED, but they call it high school equivalency test now. We have general life skills, English. We teach them English language. They teach them a lot of folks, help them with their reading. We have a library with thousands and thousands of books. So we try to get them, we do everything we can to educate them and get them from coming back. We also have the Alcoholics Anonymous program, Narcotics Anonymous, loss and grief classes. So a lot of folks lose loved ones when they're in jail or have suffered a traumatic event. We have that. And we also have one of the very, very few veterans programs. So veterans a lot of times don't want to tell you that they're a veteran when they come to jail because they're worried about losing their benefits, because the benefits, after about 30 days, their benefits get shut off. And the same with Social Security and Medicare, Medicaid. So they won't tell you. But if we know they're a veteran, then we offer, when the guys from the vets from Polk County are in our paperwork every day and looking and seeing the familiar names, anybody who says they're a veteran, and they offer them special assistance. So that's a nice thing to have. And unlike, kind of like mental health, we don't just throw them out when they're done. So we have teamed up with St. Vincent de Paul and a couple other folks. But when they get out of jail, we have St. Vincent de Paul try to help them find a job, help them find some housing if they need it, and get them on the right track. So we offer that to them. We can't force them again. We can't, but we offer that to them, and that's helps them. And if it helps them, it helps us, because most likely they're not coming back quite as quickly. And that happens quite a bit. I have people that have been coming to jail. I started in 1981. I still see some of the same inmates. And I worked in the narcotics division, and they used to make fun of me because I'd ask some of these guys, "What is your dad's name?" I said, "Oh, I knew him." "What was your grandpa's name?" I said, "I knew him too." So congratulations, you're the third generation of people I've taken to jail. Welcome. But we have also an EM, electronic monitoring program. So if somebody's not high risk, they may have a job. They can wear an ankle bracelet. They can be out and try to be productive in society, which is what we all want. So that's just some of the things that we do. And I can ramble on. I've been accused of being able to talk to a parking meter for 30 minutes. But I guess I would open it up for questions if you have any. I'm sure there's a few things I've missed, but I do appreciate being your sheriff. It is one of the rare law enforcement jobs around the country that is still an elected position, at least in most of the country. Now Seattle, and things work smooth in Seattle, as you can tell by watching the news. They couldn't get their sheriff to do what they wanted during the craziness that was going on out there, and they said, no, I had to follow the law. And what they did was change that to an from elected to an appointed position. And then that way it could be controlled by their council, and that's not working out very well. So that was one of the things that we noticed had happened throughout some of the craziness we had. So other than that, I'm again honored to be your sheriff, and I try to answer any questions I can, if they're simple.
Mental health emergencies where multiple deputies or cars would go. How has that changed? I assume because at one point it seemed like escalating versus de-escalating, just that process.
Right. Our officers are I think we're the best trained when it comes to de-escalation. We actually have and I didn't get into it, but we actually have a simulator that came with that new building, and the officer is kind of like walking in there. We train that officer in many de-escalation, and depending on how good he does in the scenario as to how it's going to turn out for him. So he's involved in a real life situation. It's 360-degree circle. There's things going on here, things going on there, and you got the focus of the person over here. If he does not engage with that person correctly, does not de-escalate, then it's going to expand. and it's going to get worse for them. So our officers are all trained in mental health and de-escalation. We go out, talk to them. My mental health guys are probably the best because they do it every single day. And they know a lot of these individuals, but they'll do everything they can to talk this person into going to get their treatment. But obviously, if there's more than one or two deputies, this person has been violent with a family member or, someone that they live with who they're very close to. And they're probably not going to be too receptive about going with us unless it's a repeat customer. And a lot of the officers are known by first name by the individual. So we do everything we can to de-escalate. We're working with Broadlawn. We work with the crisis team, and sometimes the crisis folks will come out and help as well. But usually by the time our guys have these people, we have a court order that says they have to go. So that's what we try to do, is make it as smooth and simple as possible. And that's how we like it. Less report writing, less chance of injury to anybody else. So that's what we spend a lot of time doing. Yes, sir.
So you just described what sounds to me like 5 full-time jobs in your one hand. So what are your perspectives on leadership? What are your perspectives on delegation and keeping a 30,000-foot view all the time?
Well, oh yeah, the question was, what's my perspective on leadership and keeping a 30,000-foot view, and as far as delegation and so forth. I sometimes get accused of being a micromanager a little bit. Not very often, but once in a while. I have some very good staff, and I think I'm only as good as my staff allows me to be. That's my philosophy. But I like to know everything that's going on, but I don't have to do everything. It's like I tell my chiefs, if I have to do your job, I don't need you. I could save the county $100,000 a year. So they know that. And most of them take care of business, and most of them get in trouble for taking care of business without telling me, oh, this is what we did, Sheriff. But yeah, it's very, very busy. Can't be everywhere that we need to be. And so I hopefully have competent staff that can take care of everything. I have a good gentleman who runs the jail, and I think Ken would agree with me that he is a super individual who does a great job and keeps us all out of trouble. And I trust most of his decisions, but he does sit down and talk with us about it and tell us what he's doing. This is what's happening. This is what we need to do. And that'd be like me telling Ken how to cook those meals. That'd be the last thing. I trust him and pay him. I know not good enough, he'll tell you, but pay him well to do that job. So I try to get my folks, a lot of them being empowered to do what they need to do to keep things safe. So, yes, sir.
You talked about a variety of different organizations partner with a range of needs, whether it be mental health, et cetera. Which organizations specific to the LGBTQ community would you partner with to train your staff or make sure that you're handling LGBTQ prisoners or others effectively?
Right. Good question. And I have to try to repeat that. He's asking me on the LGBTQ, what we do to I guess maybe educate our staff and so forth. And we do have quite a few members that are LGBTQ type folks. We have our first transgender person. So I was empowered to come up with a transgender policy. So first, I think as far as I knew, I asked all the other chiefs and sheriffs, did anybody got this? They just shook their head. So we came up with it. Seems to work well. We have a lot of folks that are probably some of the most dynamic employees ever. That's the thing. And we talked a little bit about the refugee community, and the refugee community, I want them to understand that we're not the bad guy. A lot of the countries they come from, the cops are the bad guys. It's the same way with the LGBTQ community. Is we're not the bad guy. We need you. I don't get to pick and choose who comes to my jail. I don't get to recruit who, the star players. So I need people that understand the culture, that understand what we should be doing, and that can educate the rest of my staff on what needs to be done. So I reach out and welcome all that I can get. And, the last couple of years, I haven't gotten an invite for a while, but we always look forward to being in the parade because that's a great recruiting tool for us. And we want to take advantage of that. And those are the folks that we want to work in our workplace. So, and we have several, and it's a great resource for us to have. I can't I'm a member of the NAACP, but I can't understand how it feels to be a Black man. But I can learn from the people in the group who can teach me that. And those are the folks that I need to come and work with us for, especially in the jail, but also on patrol. Same with the Hispanic community. I'm a member of the Iowa Unity Coalition, which used to be the Asian Latino Coalition. They do have good food. Every time we go have a meeting, they feed me well, but I learned a lot from them and a lot of culture that I had no idea. So it was, it's just, and I'm being selfish because it's an advantage to me to get those folks and get them in and get them recruited in the same way that we do all kinds of other stuff. So
maybe a follow-up to that question, how do the people in this room go back to maybe people in our community who might say the police are the bad guys? Because I do think that there's one of our community who believes that. I don't necessarily, but I know that there are. How can we help spread the word that, you know, you're creating an open and affirming culture for your employees and working to, you know, make that the same for the police?
right. And these, I'll try to repeat that. You gotta have shorter questions. He was asking how you folks could go out and spread the word, because there are people in your community that think we are the bad guys, and to spread the word that we are not the bad guys. Well, one of the things we did this year, and we're going to continue to do, is we have a Citizens Academy. And we used to partner with Des Moines. Now we're doing it on our own because we have a nice facility to do it in. But I want everybody to come to the Citizens Academy and see just what we do. I mean, and before I rambled up here, how many of you had any idea what the sheriff's office here in Polk County did? There's a few. Overwhelmingly, a number of you were not aware, and most people aren't. Most people had no idea we had the largest holding facility. So I want to reach out and talk to anybody who wants to listen. So I would entertain an opportunity to come to your neighborhood group or to come to your any of your groups and talk and try to recruit. I mean, if you can come right out of high school at 18 years old and make $60,000 a year with full Polk County benefits, that's a pretty darn good job. And I'm not telling you it's an easy job, it's stressful, but it's a good job. And those are the folks that we need. And like me, I started when I was 21 and thought, you know, this is cool, but I've been here forever. And that's 10 years I've been, no, a little more than that. But yeah, and if there's something that we can do at any of your groups that we could come out and talk to, be glad to. We have community relations folks that are out doing programs all the time. We've opened up a sheriff's office. We're trying to promote our brand a little bit. And because like I said, a lot of people didn't know. So we have the cadet program. So we can start the kids at age 14. They could come out and get exposed to what we do. They're not, you know, committed. It's something that they can just check it out and find out, well, maybe it's for me, maybe it's not for me. I started when I was 16 at the Des Moines Police Department as an Explorer Scout is what they called it. And now we have what we call the cadet program. And that gave me a real good insight as to what I wanted to do. As like I said, when I started, I thought, no, this is probably not going to be for me. But the more I did it, the more I got involved. It was great. And I learned a lot. So I would entertain you to get some folks to let me come out and rattle on and see if we can recruit a few folks, and especially folks that want a good, solid job and good retirement benefits. So.
All the jail staff were trained by there are great transgender policies in jail. We treat our transgender inmates with very good respect. I'm not one of the people.
Oh, see, if you'd have done this better, if I wouldn't even have to be up. But Ken was talking about the transgender policy that we have in jail, and that all of our jail staff has been trained by One Iowa. We continue to do that. Our doors are, it doesn't sound right. The doors of the jail are open. But we are open to hosting all kinds of different groups with special needs. We have a jail chaplain. We have a religious group. We don't force any religion on anybody. But, and I asked my jail chaplain, we have conversations quite often. And I said, why do you do this? It's kind of like, you know, going to the legislature and looking for common sense. I said, Hope there's no legislators here. I tell them that anyway. But yeah, he said, if I can save one, then it's a success. Good point. So, yes, sir.
You know, a big change in how people view the hardship community. So, I can remember when the police used to come in and raid the laws for no other reason than they were a hospital review. The world has changed. I think police officers dramatically also. My father was a state trooper and he retired in 1991. The changes in the 90s in policing has been remarkable. You know, back then there were very few specialty areas within the police department compared to what we have today.
Correct.
A totally different world. My father used to say the most educated person in society should be a police officer. The expectations we have of it, being a lawyer in regards to providing health and medical health, medical care with an accident, and in regards to counseling and family. It's just that's the most educated person in society. And, you know, what you're talking about, is somebody from out of high school, you know, like, we have more like a master's role because we get into place.
Yeah, there you got the buzz of the paper. But the nice thing about Polk County is we'll hire you right out of high school. We'll also pay you to go to college. They will, the county reimburses, I believe, 50% of tuition for people to go to college. So we're doing it on both ends. But yes, you're right. We should be making millions of dollars a year.
Background here on this, to say I lived in Genesee County for a while. See what sheriff over there located in the run jail, ran an ambulance service, and I think did civil stuff. How does the Polk County Sheriff's Office compare nationally to other sheriff's offices? Is this a much larger, more involved organization than the average, or are there some that are way beyond that?
Well, I would say how we compare is that we are the greatest in the nation. That's what I tell them. And, but in a lot of cases we are. But yes, there's sheriff's offices that are bigger. We don't have helicopters. We don't have the rescue teams like they do. We do have officers that are trained in that. We don't have the rescue teams jumping out of helicopters and so forth, but we provide a full service. There's a lot of sheriffs that I just came back from Washington, D.C. to a class when I was there, and there's sheriffs in Vermont are responsible for raising their own money, not for election, their budget. They're responsible for raising their own money for their budget. So I asked, doesn't that breed corruption? If you need more money, you write more tickets. How does it work? They said, well, we do contract law enforcement, which we do that as well. But he said, we write tickets, generate a revenue, and that's how we pay the deputies' salaries. So it was, that made me thankful that I worked in Polk County. But yes, so we are probably one of the best, I would say, full service sheriff's office in the nation. We're not the biggest, but we offer, you know, we have a jail. We have a bigger jail than a lot of folks do. We have less problems than a lot of folks do. And we have good support most of the time from the Board of Supervisors to give us the funds we need to do our job. Everybody knows that money runs the country. We got to have it to survive. But it's as long as we are responsible and don't waste it, the board has been very good to seeing that we get what we need to keep you folks safe. So, yes.
How does your addiction affect incarceration?
The question was, how do opioids affect the folks that are incarcerated? They affect everybody, but the incarceration, we're seeing things that we've never seen before. People trying to sneak drugs in places that you wouldn't want to take that drug in your mouth after where it came in. But we see them coming, trying to sneak them in through the mail. Opioids are bad. The fentanyl is terrible. everything we're seeing from the, we are also one of the lead agencies in the mine narcotics force, which is Mid-Iowa Narcotics Enforcement. They are housed out of our facility. And if, when I would work there, I did have, long hair clear down my back and a beard. I looked like a homeless person. And we worked it. If we got a pound of something or a kilo, that was like the hugest thing ever. We just did a situation here around the Des Moines Metro where we took 90 pounds of methamphetamine, a kilo of coke, hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. That tells us that drugs are alive and well in Polk County, and it's a direct link from the cartel. So we see a lot of that because we are I-35 and I-80, the hub of the middle of the United States. A lot of drugs, a lot of human trafficking passes right through here. So they affect everybody. Yeah, it's terrible. And once you get on them, they're hooked. So we have 30 trained medical staff at the jail, including doctors, all nurses. We have a new provider that we just signed a contract with I guess it's almost been a year because it's almost July again. But they offer, one thing they did was they offer aftercare. So when they get out of jail, we can send them out with their meds. We can send them out with the things that they're supposed to have instead of just pushing them out to the curb. So they do work well with us. We are busy. We have had a few folks die. Some of that fentanyl is by the time you can get to them, you can't get to them quick enough. But they have a thing that I think the medical name is naloxone. We call it Narcan, and we've used that many times. And we on the street use it many times. And some of the folks we've done Narcan treatments to them many times, so they don't quit. So they'd rather get that high and take a chance of dying than they would just to quit. So yes, it's very bad, very prevalent, and you're seeing it in school-age children as well. So, and we see it at the jail. We're not immune to any of that stuff. So. Okay, well, I thank you folks for allowing me to be here. If you have some questions, I'll be hanging out for a little bit. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks.